It was just.
What's up, guys? It is Brad with College SportsCast, and we are here tonight to do week 22 of College SportsCast this season and do our game day pick'ems. What is up, guys? What's up? This is Brad with College SportsCast. I've got Hammonds on with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
Well,
Cold. It's cold. That's what's up. It's been.
I'll tell you, man. Let me just be honest with you. Like Tuesday night, we had 5 inches of snow. Well, yesterday up until today, we had 2 more inches, which is 7. And the fact is, that ain't even the worst part. The worst part is on top of that, the roads are slick. It's 18 degrees. We're supposed to get a -3 wind chill tomorrow night. Like, come on now. Like, and next week it's supposed to flood. Like, I think Mother Nature, I think somebody peed her off. Like, somebody made her mad today.
John and I live about 3 hours away from each other in Kentucky, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around there. He's more towards the mountains. So he got about 10 inches of snow over the weekend. We got 5. And then we got about 2 inches last night. Yeah, last night.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, I think he got another couple of inches. And on top of that, we haven't seen like above 25 or 27 or something for like a week.
No.
Even in the daytime.
And what makes it worse is next week it's supposed to flood. I think somebody peed off Mother Nature. And she just taking it out on everybody, man.
Yeah, so it's been a heck of a week around here in Kentucky. Yeah. I think most of Kentucky has been under snow for the last week, pretty much. Yeah. So if you are in Kentucky, you probably haven't went a whole lot of places.
Well, and 2, we're not even in really the worst month. The worst month's February. That's when it usually gets really bad, is in February.
So Jerry's with us. Jerry says that he got 4 or 5 inches where he's at. Yeah. So we are here to do our game day pick'ems. I do have something a little different for us tonight, just something I thought I'd try out and have a little fun with. We're going to do some over and unders. And I picked some with the games from tomorrow. And I think we'll start out with that, just to have a little fun tonight and see how this goes with some over and unders. I do use DraftKings, so I got all of this off of DraftKings Sportsbook, and I used what they had available. I wanted to do 1 or 2 with the Kentucky game, but they didn't have some of these player bets and stuff listed for the Kentucky game. So I used what they had. And the first one that I have that I thought we'd do tonight, John, tomorrow, UCF goes to Houston, all right, in a game tomorrow. And on DraftKings Sportsbook, Jamal, that should say Shed. That shouldn't say
Sneed. Shed, yeah.
I don't know why. Hang on a minute. That's a mistype. That should say Shed. There we go. Jamal Shed. That's how he spells it. Jamal Shed is over or under tomorrow against UCF at home, 13 and a half points.
Give me the over.
You know, when you look at this one, I thought, man, that seems awful low. Like I watched the other night, Shed was going off.
Well,
was it
to
Texas?
be fair, UCF has a decent defense, but they're playing on the road at Houston, tough environment.
Yeah, it's at Houston.
Houston, a lot of times, is virtually unbeatable in Houston. So give me the over 13 and a half points. I think he goes over that.
That's kind of where I'm leaning too on this one. You know, Shed's been there for a few years now. He's one of their better players. I tried to pick some of these that are, you know, some really good players, people that we would know and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to go over on this one with you.
I will say though, UCF has won some pretty good games recently. You know, they beat Kansas. They won on the road at Texas. So UCF's had a decent little run in the Big 12. There was a couple games there where they got blown out, but they're competing in the Big 12 more than I thought they would.
You know, in the last couple of weeks, I think. So also tomorrow, UConn travels to Villanova. All right. And on this one, this is off of DraftKings. Alex Caravan over and under 14 and a half points.
That's tough.
At Villanova.
That's tough at the Pavilion. I think I'm going to go the under on this one. I think he'll get 11 or 12 points. Man, you just don't know what you're going to get with this Villanova team. One week they play really well. The next week, you know, they lose to Penn. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get with a Kyle Neptune team. You know, but they're really good at home. It's hard to win at the Pavilion. And I'm not saying UConn won't win this game, but as far as the over and under with Alex Caravan, I think you're going to go the under here because their defense is really good. When Villanova straps in defensively, they're really hard to defend and hard to score against.
You know, this one, when you looked at the last one, I thought, it seems a little high. When I looked at this one, I thought, well, that one's probably about right. I mean, I can see Caravan scoring 12 to 14, 15, somewhere in that range. You know, he is one of their better players, and he probably will be in double figures. So if you're going to take the under, I'm going to try the over on this one. And I just thought this would be fun to kind of do, and we can go back and look at and see how we did and just have a little fun with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. The next one we're going to do is Northwestern goes to Nebraska. All right. And Boo Booey over and under 18 and a half points at Nebraska.
Man, that's tough because Nebraska is not a real good team on the road, but when they're at home, they look like the 98 Bulls. So I'm not – now, on the other side of the equation, you know, Boo Booey, to me, he's the offense that makes Northwestern run. And I think he's the biggest reason that their offensive numbers goes up quite a bit every single game.
If they're going to have a chance on the road, he probably needs to go over.
He's going to at least have to have 20-something points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a hot take on this one. I'm going to go over. I think he gets at least 20, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Nebraska on the road. Northwestern just hasn't played good recently. They've just not been playing – since they won that game against Purdue, they haven't really been playing really good basketball. And
I mean, Boo Booey is the straw that
makes
stirs the drink for Northwestern. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, so he definitely needs to go over this if Northwestern's going to hang in at Nebraska because, like you said, Nebraska does play really well at home.
Well, and Nebraska's going to be without one of their star players, Juwan Gary. He got hurt the other night. I'm not sure if he's going to play tomorrow. So that's a big loss for them, especially up in the front court.
But I think they're going to have to go and use a lot of boo-booey in this game. So give me the over on this one as well.
Yep.
And those were points. I picked a few, tried to do a few different things here. So we're going back to the UCF Houston game. LJ Cryer, over under 2.5 3-point field goals made.
I think it's over. Houston's tough at home, man.
They are.
They're virtually unbeatable at home. Now the road is a different story, but when they play at home, that environment's really, really loud. They get it together. Kelvin Sampson has a really good defensive team. I think they're number 1 in KenPom defensively. This is a really good basketball team. When they're playing together and when they're running and they're doing the things that they do, they're really tough to beat. The other night, I think where they lost to who was it they lost to? Houston. They lost on the road, I believe.
They lost on the road 2 games last week.
I can't remember who it was, but they're just not a real good road team. But they're a really good home team. And
TCU, I think was one of
them.
I think
it was TCU is who I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So give me LJ Cryer and the over 2.5, 2.5 3-point field goal made. I think he'll be over that.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning to is the over on this one for LJ Cryer at home. And then the next one is 3-point field goals made as well, and I didn't put it in there. It's the same. It's 2.5.
Baylor's really good defensively. Where's this game at? Texas?
Yes.
It's a home game, so Max Asmus.
I'm just putting it in there. Yeah, so Max
Max is due for one. I think, they struggled against UCF. They lost the other night. To me, Texas is just not a really good team right now. They're not a tournament team. This would be a really big win for them at home against Baylor.
They have struggled lately, but this is at home.
It is
for them.
And JB Ricks, he's an AP holder. He had Texas ranked 12th last week. Like, I always joke, I have a little troll thing in our group chat about JB Ricks picking Texas so high, but I just don't think this Texas team's a really good basketball team right now. Dylan DeSue is really good. He's their leader, but they just don't have a lot of pieces like they had a year ago. And the thing about it is Rodney Terry, I felt, he inherited a bunch of those guys last year. And now that he's trying to figure out the roster himself, I'm not so sure that he makes it even to the SEC, like, at this point.
I'm not so sure about him yet. I mean, he looked pretty good last year.
He did.
When he
had Jabari Sir Rice. He had Timmy Allen. They had a really good basketball team last year.
Yeah.
A team that really, to me, should have went to the Final Four and never did. But this will be a big win.
I think I'm going to take the under on this one.
This will be a really big win for them. But I'm going to go like you, I think. I'm going to go the under with this. Baylor plays really good, stout defense. I think it's going to be tough for Max to get loose a little bit. But you never know. He might go over that. So, we'll try it and we'll see.
I mean, I just thought we'd have a little bit of fun with this tonight. So Kansas takes on West Virginia in West Virginia tomorrow as well. And this is a combo play, okay? This is points, rebounds, and assists. Hunter Dickinson, over and under 31.5.
Under. I don't think he's going to get the assist. I think he'll get the points and the rebounds because Hunter Dickinson just does what he does.
Well, I mean, this is all he's got to do. If he gets 32 points, then he's over.
Yeah.
It's just a combo. You take all the numbers between points, rebounds, and
I know this is a road game. I know West Virginia is a really bad team, but Kansas has had their house of horrors at West Virginia. and they've struggled there a few times.
West Virginia's not real good.
We're
right
not
now.
good though. That's the difference I think this year. But
They're not real good right now.
But Kansas should win this game on the road. I just think I'm going to go to under on this one. I think he'll get points. I think he'll get some rebounds. I'm just not sure if he'll get all the assists.
I think I'm going to take the over on this one. I really do. I mean, I'm just not sold that they're going to be able to handle him, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is another combo play. Creighton takes on Seton Hall at Seton Hall tomorrow. Ryan Kelkbrenner, combo play, points, rebounds, and assist, 24.5.
That's going to be tough because you got him and Baylor Shireman together. You know,
and Seton Hall's been playing really well.
They have. Seton Hall's played really well. Yeah, they're good at home. It's going to be a tough game for Creighton because Creighton is one of them teams I tell people all the time. Creighton is Jekyll and Hyde. One week you get good Creighton, one week you get bad Creighton. You don't know which Creighton you're going to get.
Kalkbrenner is a really good player.
He is.
But, I mean –
man, this is tough. I think give me the over. I think he'll get enough for this one. Even on the road. I'm just going to go opposite of what I did with Hunter Dickinson.
All right. Well, I think I'll do the opposite then and say under because I think it's going to be real close.
It's going to be tight, yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be real close. So I'll take the under on that one. Just trying to have a little fun. This is the last one, and then we'll get to the games. This one, always, UCLA, Arizona is always one of the premier games of the year. They play twice. Unfortunately, UCLA has been horrible this year.
Well, they have won back-to-back games. So
yes, they have. But they still play excellent defense.
They do.
And Arizona has the second most points scored average in a game at 90.6.
Mm-hmm.
And UCLA plays great defense. So over and under the total points in the game, 142.5 between both teams. It's kind of interesting. This one's kind of interesting.
I think that's too much, especially for UCLA.
No. I would call him for sure.
Is Arizona going to control the flow of the game and score 90 points?
I think Arizona will control this a little bit more. Here's the thing that people don't realize. It's hard to win at the McHale Center in Arizona. That place is really hard. Well, Lute Olson Court, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's a tough environment. And there's not been many teams go in there and win. Let's just be honest. So UCLA's got their hands full this weekend. I'm going to take the under. I just say that in terms of UCLA. I don't think they can score enough points to win this game. I think Arizona does what they do. They got really good guard play, Ballo in the middle.
Honestly, I can see this game being an 80-50 something game.
Yeah, I do too.
I really
give me the under. Just because of UCLA, I don't think they're going to get enough points to cause that number to go up.
So
I think I'll take the under on this one as well, even though I'm very tempted to take the over because Arizona can fill it up.
They can.
They're about like Kentucky.
Yep.
Okay. See, I got it.
They can fill it up. All right. So now we're going to get to the games, and I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with that. Maybe we'll put that in as a segment just to put 6 or 8 of them in and have a little bit of fun each week now that football's over with, because it's hard to get enough of these basketball games to talk about to fill the show. So I thought we'd have a little fun with it. But these are all Saturday games. So all these games start tomorrow. The first game we're going to talk about is Marquette travels to St. John's. Marquette is a 1-point favorite in this game.
And they've also lost 2 of 3. So, and they're going on the road again.
St. John's has lost a couple recently.
And, St. John's is 7-1 at home this year. Marquette's 1-3 on the road. Marquette doesn't play really well on the road. They play good at home, but their road struggles are evident. They got a really good guard in Tyler Kolick. St. John's has got a really good, fun team, man. I think they're top in the country in rebounding. Dennis Jenkins, he's really good. They got a really good, fun team, and they play really good defense too. This is a really good defensive team. But I think I'm going to go Marquette here. I just think their guard play will win out in this game, and they'll win by the 1-point spread. I think they cover the spread. I don't like the fact that they're 1-3 on the road, but just something tells me that Marquette's going to come out and play good tomorrow.
That's kind of where I'm leaning with this one, although St. John's has played really well this year, but they have lost a couple recently. My question to you is this, like on Monday, Tuesday, something of this week, Patino missed a game because of COVID. Is he going to be back for this game? Or is he still back?
I have not really heard. I have not seen any updates. Hopefully he'll be back on the sidelines because
it's just been a few days. I don't know if he'd be back or
yeah,
not.
I'm not real sure. I haven't really saw any updates today or yesterday, but I think it makes a huge difference though when you don't have the coach there because there's different things that can add into the equation.
Yeah, I mean they lost the other night. It's just by one, but they lost.
But they are 7-1 at home, so that's a key stat. That's a key stat for them. So.
Because I'm going to take Marquette. I really think Marquette has got the better team, but that doesn't always mean anything. So I'm going to take them in this one. I don't know what's going on with Patino, if he's going to be there, if he's not. I know he missed the last game. I know that, the midweek game. All right, so this is a big game in the SEC. We've got Alabama traveling to Tennessee. Tennessee at home in Knoxville is a 5-point favorite in this game. Again, these are all off of DraftKings. I do use DraftKings for all of these spreads and everything that we're talking about.
Man, I tell you, I really like this Alabama team. Mark Sears is absolutely scorching right now. Aaron Estrada, to me, he's been the one inconsistent they've had. I think he's shooting below 40% as of late. Then they got Grant Nelson. He scored double digits in just one of his last 4 games. So he's some issues as well. Mark Sears has been carrying this team. But let me tell you, anytime you go to Knoxville, it's tough. They've won 6 in a row, Alabama has. They're 2-0 on the road in SEC play. Man. Tennessee has the better defensive rating in this game, but it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee's defense matches up with this Alabama offense because, anytime we go up against offense, defense in these kind of regards, I mean, you look at Wednesday night, Mississippi State had, the top 10 Ken Palm defense in the country, and Kentucky's they shredded them. Could that be the case tomorrow with Alabama and Tennessee? We don't know until they get on the floor and get acquainted with each other going into the game and as more as the game evolves. But I think I'm going to take Tennessee in this game. I think they cover the spread. Winning at Knoxville was really hard. Dalton Connect might be one of the best players in the country. Might be the top guy. Let's just be honest. He can score at all phases. Yeah, I feel like he's a 5-tool player. He can do it all. He can put his team on his back and just win games. And that's why I think Tennessee wins tomorrow. It's going to be a tough environment for Alabama.
Does Dalton Connect get 35 plus in a third game in a row? I mean, honestly, he's playing unbelievable. You know, and they're at home. Tennessee's at home.
Yeah.
They are a much, much better team at home, in my opinion, than they are on the road, away from Knoxville. But at home, there's something about watching. If you watch Tennessee and pay any attention at all, Tennessee scores a lot more points at home than they do on the road. Yes, they are a great defensive team, just like
Yep.
you're talking about. But sometimes when you get them away from home, they struggle on offense as a team.
They have them what you call droughts that they just go through. They don't know where to take. They don't know how to get the ball to go.
Some games away from Knoxville, they will be lucky to score 63 or 66 or something like that. But usually at home, they're in the 80s or close to 80. That's why, with this being in Knoxville, yes, Bama's been playing a lot better. Like you said, they've won 6 games in a row. And they're coming in off of a hot streak. You're right. Mark Sears has been playing spectacular and carrying the team pretty much. But I think I'm going to take Tennessee in this one at home as well.
Yeah, I think this is the best bet because, you got a really good Tennessee team at home that's really hot right now. You saw that, what was it, the other night. So they put 40 in a casket after about 5 minutes. It was basically over with. The game was over. So
yeah. So Jerry said he was taking Bama, so I had to put that up there. A little bit different than what we talked about. All right, the next one is BYU goes to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is coming off of a bad loss where they looked bad. I think they only scored 57 points the other night against Houston, and they are a 1-point favorite at home against this BYU team who has won some games now in the Big 12 and is having a really good year.
Well, yeah, and two, BYU is just 1-2 on the road this year. They've lost at Utah and Baylor, but they did win against UCF. On the other side of the thing, Texas Tech, 10-0 on the year at home. I'm telling you, man, Lubbock is a hard place to play. They beat Texas on the road, beat Michigan on a neutral floor, beat Kansas State at home. This is a fun Texas Tech team. Now, they did run into a buzzsaw last week against Houston. They didn't
look good the other night.
The thing was, I think it was more so Houston lost to TCU and they took out their anger on Texas Tech. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens in college basketball.
And Houston plays some really good defense. So
yeah, they did. So I'm going to take Texas Tech in this one. I don't like BYU on the road. I think BYU plays better at Provo. BYU and some of these others, Cincinnati, UCF, they're getting acquainted really well with the Big 12. They're finding out how difficult it really is, to go on the road and play these games.
Oh, I agree with you. BYU's got a bunch of shooters, play kind of open. They've got a fun team to watch.
They do.
I think they will compete going on the road here at Lubbock, but I am agreeing with you on this. Like, it's a tough place to play. They are coming off of a loss. I think they're going to be fired up to bounce back. After a bad showing at Houston. So give me Texas Tech in this one. The The next one, of course, we're going to talk about. We already talked about it with one of the players and stuff in this game. With Caravan, we talked about it, but UConn is a 4-point favorite at Villanova. Real tough place to play. So, what do you think about this one?
Villanova is really, really tough at the Pavilion. UConn's got a really, really, really good team. They got Caravan, they got Donovan Klingen back. When UConn is playing at the highest level, there's nobody in the country that has a better team based on the eye test. UConn is really, really good. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're back in the Final Four again this year. They're just really good offensively. When they get in a grind and they get them in a groove, they're just really difficult to beat. The other night against Creighton cut it to like 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7. And it was like UConn just made another run and just put it out of reach. They got so many weapons to work with. I got UConn in this game, but I will say this will not be an easy game. Justin Moore for Villanova is a really good basketball player. They got some really great players on the defensive end that can kind of, disrupt what UConn does. So this will be a tough game for UConn, but ultimately I think UConn wins this game. I think they cover the 4 points. But like I said, there's no team in the country with a higher ceiling besides Kentucky than maybe UConn.
I think Arizona has a pretty high ceiling as
They
well.
do. There's 2 or 3 teams that have pretty high ceilings. Kentucky, Arizona, UConn.
Yeah.
There's not a lot, but there's just a few.
There's a few. I would put Arizona in with that. But UConn definitely is a team that can definitely make the Final Four again. Are they still without their big guy here?
No, he's back.
Is he back?
He come back this week.
He come back this week?
Yeah, against Creighton.
Okay. I knew he was getting close to being back. I didn't know if he was back yet or not.
He made a difference. He made a big difference too.
With him in the fold, I think I'm going to take UConn and give the points here at Villanova. He was out for about 3 to 4 weeks, something like that, 3.5 weeks, and that kind of made a difference for them. But if he can get back and get in the fold and get back in game speed and everything else, this UConn team is going to be a tough out.
I agree with you.
All right, so the next one we're going to go with is back to the SEC. These are both ranked teams, although Ole Miss is likely to fall out unless they can go to Auburn and win because they lost earlier this week. But this is a tough place to play. Auburn is playing one of these teams. I mean, we've talked about some teams here. Auburn looks like they're playing about as well as anybody in the country.
Auburn is a top 10 team. This is
ranked, they're favored 13 points in this game at home over a 15-2 Ole Miss team.
The biggest improvement for Auburn from last year is the play of Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams has really come on for Auburn. They got so many guys they can throw at you. They probably got the deepest bench next to Kentucky in the SEC. They're really fun out in the open court. They play really good defense. Listen, I like this Ole Miss team. I think they got a really good team. I think they're so much better than they was a year ago.
Morrell
I'll say this.
Flanagan's going back to play Auburn. So that's kind of interesting.
Here's the problem you got. You're going into the jungle, Neville Arena, and that place is really intimidating. It's a tough place, tough environment. I agree with you, Jerry. It's a lot of points, but Auburn at home this year they've been hard to deal with.
Have been.
And I'll just be honest with you. I don't look for Ole Miss to win this game. Granted, they got a better team this year. They're much improved, especially with the transfers they brought in.
I would think
Jason,
Flanagan would want to go
Harrison,
home.
I just gotta say, Jason Harrison, I hate to pick against your team this weekend, but it's gotta be Auburn this weekend. I'm taking the 13 and the cover. I just think they're so good at home, and it's tough.
Yeah, Jerry says, "Wow, it's a lot of points." It is a lot of points. I think it is a lot of points.
I disagree with you, Josh. That's okay.
I mean, I think that Ole Miss is a good team. I don't think Ole Miss.
They're not a great team. No.
But I do think that Auburn has been playing pretty great. I mean, honestly. Yeah. So even though this is 13 points and that's a wide margin,
it's pretty wide.
It's wide. It makes me want to take Ole Miss in this game, but I think I'm going to go with my head here and be like, okay, what I've seen, I think I'm going to take Auburn and lay the 13 points. Jerry says he's got Auburn to win, but he's not going to take them to cover. I think I'm going to lay the 13 points here and see what happens. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is Oklahoma travels to Cincinnati. Oklahoma's ranked. Cincinnati's a 4-point favorite at home. They've been playing really well. I think they're like 13-4.
You said this is at Cincinnati, right?
It's at Cincinnati.
Okay. My biggest concern with Oklahoma is their turnovers. They turn the ball over quite a bit. Cincinnati's been really good at home. They should have beat Texas at home. I like Cincinnati in this game just because Oklahoma has a really hard time protecting the basketball. And on the road, that's a recipe for disaster, especially in a hostile environment like Cincinnati. Cincinnati is one of the best rebounding teams in the country. They're 7th in the nation. And Oklahoma is yet to win a true road game this year. And I think that will continue this weekend. Give me Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is playing the type of ball that I thought they would. They look good even in the non-con. There was just a few games here or there where they should have won. They're starting to figure it out, especially in Big 12 play. And they're starting to get their team together. And they got a guy by the name of Jizzle James. If you've never heard of Jizzle James, he's a treat.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, that's Edgerrin James, is the former Indianapolis coach. That's his son. If you want to realize how old you're getting at this point.
Yeah.
So, Cincinnati, I think they cover this spread. I just don't trust Oklahoma on the road this week.
It is so hard for me to trust Cincinnati, though, as well.
Yeah, because they're inconsistent. They had that one good win last week. They lost to Texas on the last shot.
They look good at times, and then at times you're like, whoa, I'm not so sure about them.
Yeah, it's –
so part of me wants to take the points and take Oklahoma. I think that's what I'm going to do, and take the 4 points. I'm not sure that I trust either one of these teams, to be honest with you. But somebody's got to win, right?
Somebody's got to win the game, yeah.
I mean, somebody's got to win, right? I mean,
yeah.
All right, the next one, this is an early game on tomorrow. So it's Baylor at Texas. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite at home. And I'm not so sure about that.
I ain't either. I just don't think this Texas team is an NCAA tournament team. But maybe they figure it out. Maybe they get going in the later ends of the year and they figure it out and they start playing and they start winning some games. But I just don't trust this Longhorns team, man, at this point. I'm going to get the Longhorns to cover, but I think Baylor wins this game. To me, this is the biggest game of the year for Texas. For Baylor, not so much because we know Baylor is most likely going to go to the NCAA tournament. They're going to be there. But for Texas, I think to get into the NCAA tournament chase, the bubble talk, they got to have this game. I just don't think they get it done. They're just not a great team.
I think I'm taking Baylor. I mean, Drew has always got a really good team there, and you know, they play fast. This Texas team has struggled at times.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't looked the part. I know that they have been ranked for most of the year, hanging around that 22 to 25 range.
And I tell you this, they got a really good freshman, Jacoby Walter. He's averaging 14 points per game. They got a fun team. They got Ray J. Dennis, the transfer from the MAC. They got Langston Love. He comes off the bench. The 6'9" in the middle, Jalen Bridges. Jalen Bridges is their big top interior player. He's averaging 10 points a game. And then they got Missy, the freshman, the 7'1" freshman. This is a good Baylor team. The biggest problem with this Baylor team is they're inconsistent at times. Like they'll look good one week and then they'll get blown out by Michigan State. It's hard to tell how what Baylor's going to come out.
They got killed in that game.
It was just, I don't know. Maybe it was just an anomaly or something. I don't know. But when Baylor's really playing, though, they're a difficult team to play against.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Baylor in this, even though this is going to be at Texas. They are coming off of a loss. It's a game that Texas absolutely needs.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm not so sure Texas can beat the top teams, the Houstons, the Kansas. I'm not so sure they can win those games, and that's why I say this game's a really big game for them.
Yeah, I got to take Baylor in this one, I think. All right. The next game we're going to talk about is Creighton goes to Seton Hall. We talked about this with one of the player bets that I was talking about earlier, but Creighton is actually a 2.5-point favorite here. Both teams are 13-5. Seton Hall has been hot lately, especially at home. Got the better Big East record, but Creighton's the 2.5-point favorite according to DraftKings.
Man, this Pirate team is fun, man. They got a 6'6" scoring guard in Kadari Richmond. He's tough. Richmond's good. He's reached double figures in his last 8 games. The one that I like the most is Alamir Dawes. He's had 42 threes on the year, 36% shooting. They got another wing in Dre Davis that can really score the basketball. Jaden Bediako is really good. Right now, they're currently 54th overall, according to KenPom. They've upset UConn, a few other teams, big teams in the Big East. And if they win this game, you got to put them on lock for the NCAA tournament. I mean, they're atop the Big East standings right now. Shaheen Holloway has done an outstanding job with this team coming from St. Peter's. He does a wonder with the teams that he's got. They play smash mouth, just grind it out. They'll beat your brains out kind of offense, which I like at times, which I'm more of a fast-paced guy, but I like those grinded out games too. But a guy to watch tomorrow is Richmond. Richmond can flat score the basketball. I got Seton Hall in this game. I think they beat Creighton at home. Creighton's just too inconsistent for me.
See, I like Creighton, and I think they have really good players.
They do.
But
Bailey Shireman and
Kalkbrenner?
Kalkbrenner's really good. They're both good. Yeah. And, even Alexander's good, but they go into these little spurts where they don't play real well at times. And they and they lose track of what they're doing. Like there was a couple of games where I was watching.
You know what I think their problem is, John? You know what I think? I think that the tough-nosed defense of the Big East gets the better of them sometimes.
Oh, when they're hitting, when Creighton's shooting their shots, they're hard to deal with. But you're not going to get that every single night.
But I think on a night in, night out basis in the Big East is brutal.
Well, and the thing is, I said it last week, the Big East is cannibalizing itself. They're all eating each other's young.
And I think that's kind of what happens to Creighton.
It's going to be like that all year, though.
Because I don't think that Creighton just a few years ago, I don't know how long it's been since they entered into the Big East now, but it's not been too awful long ago. And they're coming from a non-Power 6 conference and coming in there. I still feel like that Creighton hasn't figured out that tough nose Big East defense, night in, night out. And I think sometimes when they get in these games, it bites them.
Yeah, it does. And they're going to be in another one tomorrow. Seton Hall is not no slouch. They're hard-nosed, grind, beat you to death. That's just the way they play. And Creighton's going to have
a lot of these Big East teams. That's the way most of them play.
And Creighton's going to have to overcome that if they're going to win on the road tomorrow.
And that's the reason why. I mean, offensively, and as far as if you told me pick the three best players, on the floor, 2 or 3 of them is going to be from Creighton.
Yeah.
But when you look at this and be like, okay, Seton Hall is going to be tough nose, banging down low, tough D.
Mm-hmm.
Can Creighton overcome that and win on the road? Part of me says, as much as I like Creighton, I think I'm going to have to take Seton Hall in this one.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm pretty sure, they've just been playing better. And I think I'm going to have to take Seton Hall.
The Pirates.
Arr. Matey. All right. So comes down to this. This is the last game that I have on here for us to talk about. We've got Georgia at Kentucky. I saved it to last because we can actually spend a little bit of time here and kind of break this game down. And we have plenty of time here for a few minutes to really kind of dig into this game. On DraftKings this afternoon or this evening, they were 11.5-point favorite. Kentucky was at Rupp. But I did see somewhere else that it was at 12.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I went ahead and went with 11.5 because I use DraftKings for everything. So that's what it was this evening, about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Listen,
what's your first?
Mike White has done an excellent job with this team. They beat South Carolina on the road. They gave Tennessee all they want Saturday.
They should have beat Tennessee last week.
Beat Tennessee. But listen, man, they're going to have their work cut out for them this weekend. They're playing against one of the highest scoring, probably the best Calipari offense that he's ever had in his era that he's been in Lexington. I will say this: they're good defensively. I think that gives them a little bit of advantage over Kentucky. But we even seen that with Mississippi State. They shredded Mississippi State, and they're top 10 in KenPom. Georgia just only has 2 guys averaging double figures, while Kentucky has 5. I mean, Kentucky's got a lot of firepower on this, and they bring probably the 2 best players in the country off the bench. with that rotation. I just think Kentucky has too much firepower in this game. I think Georgia will keep it close for a little while. I just think Kentucky at home is just a different animal. I get they lost to UNC Wilmington, but we was without DJ Wagner, and there was a lot of things going on then. I just think this is a different team now than it was in early December. The biggest concern I have with this team is their defensive lapses, where they can't figure out how to get to the open man, the three-point shooter. But I think that worked better Wednesday night. They played better defensively at times. They guarded the pick and roll a lot better than they've had done in the past. So, listen, man, you're the number one team in the country in scoring. You got 5 guys averaging double figures. Listen, the only way this team gets messed up is if Calipari messes it up. Because at the end of the day, this team is national championship contender. I've said it since early in January. I think this team has the team to go all the way to the Elite Eight, Final Four, even the title game and win it all. They just got to learn to play a little defense. And I think once their defense gets figured out, this is going to be a hard team to deal with.
So for me, just trying to look at this game, just this game for a second, and I'll get into a little bit of what you just talked about after this, but I want to talk about this game first. So one of the biggest worries for me in this game alone is Georgia's guards and their guard play. And the reason why I say it that way is their guards are 6'6" and 6'8". It's a little abnormal.
Yeah, but they're not good. But they're not really a good scoring guards. They're more of drive and dish and pitch out.
I don't know if you guys remember Sharif Abdul-Rahim. Do you guys remember him that played in the NFL?
His son plays for Georgia. Yeah,
his son plays for Georgia, and he's 6'8", and he's a guard. He plays guard. He's 6'8", plays guard. Abdul-Rahim, I can't remember what his first name is right now, but it's Sharif's son, and he's a good player. I mean, I don't know that he's going to light it up from 30 feet, but he's a good player, good driver. I'm just wondering, how does that affect us when you've got a 6'8" guy guarding whoever he's going to guard? I mean, maybe he starts out on Reeves, who is
the biggest thing with this game is Georgia doesn't have a lot of scoring depth. They don't have a lot of guys that just blow you away and get hot and just burn you up. I think where Kentucky likes to run, it's going to force Georgia to want to run, and that's not a good combination because that's not what Georgia wants to do. And that's the same thing that happened with Mississippi State. They wanted to run, and they got blown out of the building. This is a historically great Kentucky offense. We're talking probably since the 96 championship team. And I'm not – and no. Don't take what I said in tongue-in-cheek on that. They're not as good as the 96 team or the championship team.
No, you're just talking about scoring points.
Offensively wise.
Yeah.
They can score they can get it in buckets overall. So I think Georgia – I think Kentucky wins this game, but I do think they'll cover usually because recently they've been every spread that they've had, they've been covering every single one most of the time. Now the Texas A&M game, the Texas A&M game was 1.5. I feared it would be back and forth for a couple of days, but it ended up being 3 or 4 points, in which it was 1.5 too. But those road games are going to be tough in the SEC anyways. Expect not just Kentucky, every team. Any time you go on the road in conference, it's going to be difficult. But I think Georgia's lack of scoring depth and they're going to have a big night from Raheem, and they're going to have a big night from Justin Hill and a couple of guys that really doesn't have big nights at times. And they're going to have to hit at least 40% from three to win this game.
But here's the thing, John. This team, as good as they have been offensively, and I seen something you post, where Kentucky fans are going to always have something to complain about or whatever. This is not a complaint for me. This is if Kentucky's going to get where we all think this team should, talent-wise, if they're going to be able to reach the Final Four and have a shot, they are going to have to play better defense.
I agree.
Mississippi State the other day had more three-pointers than we did.
And still lost.
Okay? And here's where I'm gonna name two areas on our defense for me that absolutely has to get better if we're going to reach where we think this team should go. One is on-ball defense, specifically pick and rolls, which it looked like they had worked on and got a little bit better against Mississippi State. But let's be honest, Mississippi State doesn't have a Wade Taylor.
Uh-uh.
Okay? Mississippi State doesn't have a Mark Sears.
Mm-mm.
So we're going to find out. Mississippi State doesn't have a yeah, you know what I mean? So we're going to find out. Mississippi State is Tolu Smith down low. That's a whole lot of what they do.
Well, and not just that, they got Josh Hubbard, but Hubbard
had a really off night against us.
Yeah, when you get 4 points from Josh Hubbard, most times you're going to lose a game.
If Hubbard plays good, that's a dangerous game. We might lose that game, to be honest, the way we played. If Hubbard plays good. Because
and I'll tell you another thing too that
here's another area. Hang on, John. Here's another area on the defense that we absolutely have to get better. And Josh Hart is on here with us, and he will tell you the past 2 or 3 games I have been harping at this. During the game, our backside defense sucks. Sucks. I mean, sucks. Mississippi State, who has not been a great offense three-point shooting team, hit 6 backside threes against us the other night. 6. I mean, we are overloading, and if a team is good enough to get it across court and make a good pass, teams are killing us on the three-point line on the backside of our defense. Killing us.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, right now, that's got to change. You can't play against a Dalton Connect and do that shit. It's got to change. Those 2 areas, for this team to reach the ceiling, everybody's talking about Kentucky's got the highest ceiling in the land. Okay? I've heard it numerous times from everybody. I mean, even people that don't like Kentucky, okay? I've seen it. They're talking about Kentucky. John Rothstein the other day, who's not a big Kentucky fan, okay? He's like, Kentucky's got the highest ceiling. He says, they can go to the Final Four. But if they're going to reach that, they have to get better backside defense. They have to get better on-ball defense. And the other thing they've got to get better at is rebounding.
Yeah.
Those 3 areas. And I think Adu being out really has hurt us when it comes to that. If Adu can ever get back, I'm not sure what's going on. I heard today he's really having a lot of back issues and back problems. The problem with that is back issues and back problems, you just don't know if they're going to get that worked out. If it's going to flare up every time he tries to do something, I mean, you just don't know. Hopefully, we can get Adu back at some point. 11.5 in this game feels kind of, honestly, it feels like a lot.
It's because a lot of it's because of the way Kentucky scores. A lot of it because their offense firepower. It has a lot to do with it. And the fact that Georgia don't have a lot of guys that can score like that. See, Georgia has only 2 guys that can score in double figures. Kentucky's got 5 or 6. And
I'm going to tell you something here for me. Do you know what the over and under, we talked about the over and under for the UCLA-Arizona game. The over and under in this game on DraftKings a couple hours ago was 162.5 for this game. That seems like a lot.
Kentucky scores a lot, though.
They do. They're averaging 90.8.
Well, and 2, the biggest thing with Kentucky is I tell people this, they space you out and they make you go at like it's so difficult to defend. It's the way they move you out beyond the basket. And I think that's what's causing a lot of teams that are really good defensive teams struggles, where they're having the guard outside and then it just leaves somebody else open and it gives another chance for another guy to step up.
Josh, I totally hope you're right. 92-72 UK. I totally hope you're right. I would love to see us eclipse that 90-point mark and keep our average up there.
But I think Kentucky covers, though. So
I'm going to go with Kentucky covering. I'm just throwing it all out there. When I watched this Georgia, I've watched them twice. They should have beat Tennessee. They sure held it within 11.5 points, but it was at home. And I think this Georgia team plays better at home than they do on the road.
They do.
So at Rupp, give me Kentucky, and I'll lay the 11.5 points. All right, guys. That's it. That's all I got for tonight. I will say this. I am scheduled to go to Rupp Arena myself on Sunday to cover the women's game. At Kentucky plays Missouri.
We don't do NFL, Josh.
Well, we talked a little bit about it because of the playoffs last week. I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, we don't cover that.
So I'm scheduled to go on Sunday. Because of that, as of right now, I do not plan on having our weekend wrap-up show. We'll kind of do a combo show on Tuesday. And like we have a couple of other weeks, and we'll do kind of a combo show on Tuesday. That's what I am planning. The weather, the reason why I'm being a little iffy is Kentucky's weather's not been great. So I got to see exactly if the roads get a little bit better between now and Sunday. But just so you guys know, I do not plan on having a Sunday show. We'll kind of do a combo show on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. Me, Jason, and Hammonds will be here, and we'll kind of have a little fun and wrap things up and do a few debates and stuff like that. That's what I am planning as of right now. Josh, I mean, if you are talking about the playoffs this week, I mean, you've got San Francisco and Green Bay. I have been on record. I've said San Francisco's kind of had Green Bay's number. They've lost 4 of the last 5 against San Francisco. 2 of those 4 was in the playoffs. Having to go there and playing there is not a good recipe. I think the last spread I seen was like 9 or 9.5 on that game. I mean, I might take the spread at 9.5 or something like that, maybe. Because I'm a Green Bay fan, I might take the spread.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I will say this. So 7 of the 8 teams that's left, 7 of the 8 teams have a first-round draft pick playing at quarterback.
Impressive.
I thought that was a little tidbit that was kind of interesting. The only quarterback that wasn't a first-round pick was San Francisco's Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft.
Yeah.
Thought that was interesting. All right, guys, that's our show. This has been College SportsCast Game Day Pick'em. Please go to homefieldapparel.com. They had some new drops today. I know Nevada, there's some West Coast teams that were dropped today. Nevada had some new gear out today. UCLA had some new gear out today. Arizona had some new gear out today. Brand new stuff. Go to homefieldapparel.com and use our code CSCAST for a 15% discount. All right, guys. We will see you guys on